Hello. Welcome back to another tutorial video on the MW Futures liquidity scalping strategy. So today we will be looking at the time settings of this particular script. And today will be a very interesting tutorial because what will be explained today will form the way of your trading model, basically. Why is that? Because we will be going over on how to set up the actual trading hours that you want to trade and on which liquidity you want to trade. So I will be trying to take things relatively slow today, but I will also try to give several examples of, for example, how you can set up the London Silver Bullet, the NY AM session Silver Bullet, but also as an example, how can you, for example, use the AM Silver Bullet and the PM Silver Bullet? So there's a lot of things to go over, but I will try to explain them in as much detail as I can. Alright, so once we go to our time settings, and you have the default settings, you will see that there are three different topics. So we have the time settings for liquidity, we have the time settings for trading, and we have the time settings for avoidance. We are first going to look at the time settings from liquidity. So we are going to read every tooltip and then explain what that particular item means and what effect it has. So let's start with the first one, liquidity search start hour. And it's set at 0. What does the tooltip say? So what hour should we start looking for liquidity? And the one after that is the start minute. So what minute should we start looking for liquidity? These first two will determine the moment in time of which we should start looking for liquidity. So once it's set at 00, from that moment on, so at midnight, it will start looking for your basic liquidity. You can also see that over here, it will start looking for liquidity around this time. Very easy, but it will determine a lot of things in your script. For example, if you want to start trading at London time, so that would be 2 a.m. New York time, that means that you at least want to start searching for liquidity before 2 a.m. because otherwise there's no liquidity to scalp. Makes sense, right? So now let's look at the two next items, which are liquidity search stop and the trading hour stop. And the same as for the minute variant as well. The tooltip says what hour should we stop looking for liquidity and stop trading? Meaning that with the basic settings, once we go to that trade that we have been using as an example every time, is that right now we start looking for liquidity at midnight open, and we stop searching for liquidity and stop trading at 11:30. This means that here at 11:30, so this candle, we will stop trading. And you will also see that during this whole period we have been drawing liquidity all the time, but we stop drawing liquidity from this moment on. So at this moment on, after 11:30, this timestamp will determine when we stop looking for our liquidity and when we stop trading. We will also have an option later on with trading, like when are we allowed to start trading and when to close all our trades. We will get over there in a minute. But this is very important because once we stop searching for liquidity, for example, here at 11:21, liquidity is still created. And actually, to be fair, it is created at the 11:29 candle. So if we, for example, would change this 11:30 to 11, you see that this liquidity line is no longer drawn. And it changes a lot in the actual mechanics of the script. Because if we place it back to 11:30 and pay close attention to what happens. So at 11:30, at 11:29, a new liquidity pool has been drawn, and you see that an actual partial is being taken right now. So based on this time setting alone, a lot of things will change in your model, because this strategy is designed to search for the nearest liquidity pools to take partial profits at. So for the example of the one that I just gave of 11:30, if we put it back to 11, pay close attention to this close position order over here. As you see, one is removed here as a partial. And you see that instead of closing one order here, we have now closed two orders over here. Why we close our position over here, I will get into that as soon as possible. But that is how that particular function works. So right now we have taught, and hopefully we understand, these four first variables. So the first two are, okay, when should we start looking for liquidity? And this one makes the search stop for the liquidity, but also stop when we are trading. Now let's have a look at the four next color options. This is very simple, so you can set a color for buy side and sell side liquidity that's not purged, and buy side and sell side liquidity that is purged. So if we, for example, right now would go into bar replay, as you can see, these lines currently are purged. But if we go into bar replay, we will see that they have the other color. And once we go out, oh boy. Once we go out and go back, they will have the purged color and the unpurged color. So this is for you to know, alright, what liquidity pools are still available to me at this moment in time. But if, for example, you use this script just as an extra confluence, you could also look and see, alright, maybe I can use this liquidity pools as turtle soups. So a price gets swept, and if we would, for example, continue this line for a minute, price gets swept. Right here in the last minute we go above it, we place a limit order over there and then go down. That is also a way you could use these liquidity pools. So not only in the strategy itself, but perhaps as an extra confluence to your own strategy. Alright, so now we have covered the first topic, so time settings for liquidity pools and how they are generated and displayed on screen. Now we will go over the time settings for trading. And we have, again, four different variables here with an hours and a minutes setting. So allow trading hours start. Let's look at the tooltip. What hour should we start trading based on the generated liquidity? Very important, based on the generated liquidity. So you have to take into consideration that the allowed start time of hours and minutes should be later than the liquidity search start hour and minute, because if there is no liquidity generated, there's no trade to be placed. Hopefully I explained it in a way that you understand why this is so important and why and how you potentially could make a lot of different scalping models with this. For example, if you only always have time at from 9 to 10 a.m., you could, for example, set your liquidity of 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. and then you will just scalp always that liquidity and then stop. that is a way of how you could create a model based on just the time settings and liquidity pools generated around that time. So anyways, right now the allowed trading hour start is set at 9:50, which means that we start trading over here. So this is our start time. If I would have placed my start time at 10:50, let's have a look what changes in the script. So let's place the 10:50. Right now a limit order was placed on the 10:38 candle. Let's see what happens right now. As you can see, we changed our time and the limit order actually changed to 10:52. So you can make very specific and very unique models just only on the liquidity start hour, the stop trading hours, and the allowed trading hours. Now another setting will be introduced, which is the close all trades hours and all trade minutes. So let's have a look at what the tooltip says. What hour should we close all our open trades? So I already introduced the time of when we should stop trading and when we should start trading. Currently, the close all hours is been set to 1:30 p.m. Why is it set to default of 1:30 p.m.? It is set to 1:30 p.m. due to the fact that in a lot of ICT's mentorships, he says, all right, if you grow as a trader, you want to hold your trades through lunch, and once you get more experience, you can potentially hold them to the end of day. So in theory, what you could do instead of closing at 1:30, if you only want to trade the AM session and you don't want to hold through lunch, you would just, give me a minute, you would close all trades, for example, at 11:30, which will change a lot. As you see, 11:30, we closed all our trades here, and we didn't take profit at this level. But what would happen if instead of 11:30, we would place it at 16:10? 16:10 is, for example, the time of top step, in which all account orders are closed. This first order that we would have held till this candle over here is now closed all the way over here. So with these settings that are currently explained, you have learned how to search for very specific liquidity in certain times when you should stop searching for that liquidity and stop trading. Once you should when you are allowed to start trading, and how you hold trades over a longer period of time outside of your trading hours. It is also very good to understand that once you are outside of your trading hours, so 11 o'clock was mentioned here, is that at 11, so let's see if I'm trying to figure out a good example for this. So 11:30. Let's do 12 o'clock for a minute. Alright, this is a good example. So at this time that we stop trading, I forgot to mention this is that once you stop trading, you will be getting an alert, if alerts are enabled, that you should place your stop to break even. Why? Because we stop trading and we are in a trade, for example, then we do not want to get a loss anymore. We don't want our trade to turn against us. So if you haven't been on break even yet, so let's say, let's give a good example. So we entered the trade here. Okay, let's set our stop trading to the candle of 10:55 for a minute for this example. So 10:55. Wait, no. This is close all trades. I need my break-even trades. 10:55, right? So, not practical. One candle before that. All right, 10:45. So, as you can see, what happened is that at the 10:45 candle, we already placed our trades to break even instead of waiting for first profit. So this way, you are able to protect your position without losing money. So that's something to think about, and also a way of how you could I am sorry, my headset again disconnected. So this is also a way in which you can make very unique models in which you, for example, would only trade for like 30 minutes, 20 minutes a day and be in break even very quickly with this way of setting your close trading hours or stop trading hours. All right, so we have gone over a lot of things. So now with this basic settings, I put everything back. We closed our trade at 1:30, but let's say that you want to trade the New York AM silver bullet and the New York PM silver bullet. So for that, we would be looking at liquidity generated in pre-AM session and probably new liquidity that's being generated pre-PM session, right? So New York AM session, allowed trading hours for the New York AM silver bullet is at 10 a.m. So we set our allowed trading hours to 10 a.m. We close our trades for the PM silver bullet at, let's say, 16:10. And why is this? Well, this is for a very particular reason. The PM session silver bullet is at 2 o'clock. That means that we are only allowed to trade from 10 to 11 and from 2 o'clock to 3. So how would we use these settings that we have already learned about to do that particular thing? So we know that we have to start at 10. We have to stop trading at 3. So we put that in. We start searching for liquidity all day long, like at midnight. Or what you could do is New York AM pre-market, for example. I myself prefer midnight so that we also have London liquidity. But the issue right now is that we are continuously trading till from 10 to 3. And we are not allowed to trade between 11 and 2. So for that particular instance, the next topic comes into use, the trade avoidance. So to avoid trading during 11 a.m. and 2 p.m., what we do is that the minimum hours and minutes, so let's first read the tooltip that explains it. If your trade allowance is between 7 a.m. and 11:30, and your avoid time is 8:30 and 9:30, this means that you will be only trading a session of 7 to 8:30 and 9:30 to 11:30. So in the example of the silver bullet of trading 10 to 11 and 2 to 3, we know that our start time has to be 10. Our avoiding hour will be 11. So we will trade from 10 to 11. and we want to start trading again at 2. So avoid max 2 and stop trading at 3. So right now we have created the time settings to trade the AM silver bullet and the PM silver bullet. Sadly, with these current settings, I don't have the right filters for that, but let's see what happens if I remove all the trade filters. We will get into this in the next episode. Let's see if we have a... Yeah, all right, so very nice. So we know that our trade from the AM session, we trade from 10 till 11. And we trade from 2 to 3 with the time settings that we had set up, right? You can do the same for London if you want, so for London and the New York AM session. But this is the AM silver bullet for New York. And we have the PM silver bullet for New York, which are both profitable. You see? So with the time management settings, you are allowed to create very unique time-based trading models just solemnly on liquidity and time with this. How you can actually filter out trades for more confluences, like macro trading, for example, or using the midnight opening range, the opening range gap, and the sniper series, daily and weekly bias. We will get into that on next episode, where we will go over all the trade filters and the entry information, the profit targets, and miscellaneous. So thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.